Hey everyone, it's Jeff, and today I will be reviewing Bleacher Report's latest mock draft. And just a heads up, my next few videos will probably all be draft stuff until, July 29th. And then afterwards, I'll be doing my top 10 list, for players, positions, and just overall rankings, off-season stuff. So that's the plan, just a heads up. And also, sorry for no face cam again. I'm just kind of too lazy to record right now, but I'll do it for the next one, I promise. But yeah, like and subscribe, and we'll get into it. So this one's by Jonathan Wasserman. He's done a ton of mock drafts with Bleacher Report over the years. Great guy. This article is called Post-NBA Finals Mock Draft, 2-round predictions and latest buzz. Came out July 21st. And, let's start. I'm going to skip past the first four because these are pretty set in stone, and I talked about it a bunch of times already. Number 1, Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham. If you don't know, he's a very complete point guard prospect. He's got size, passing, scoring ability. He probably has the best chance to be an all-star franchise player out of everyone in this draft. So it makes sense why Detroit's taking him first. That's probably going to happen in real life too. Number 2 is where it gets a bit more unpredictable, I guess. It's Jalen Green to the Houston Rockets. And so if you don't know, Jalen Green is part of the G League Ignite program. Basically, he played in the G League instead of college. And the two names that you hear thrown around most commonly here are Jalen Green plus Evan Mobley, right? And both I think are great prospects, and both would fit in pretty well in Houston. I think Green fits in slightly better just because while I do think Mobley and Christian Wood are a great fit on offense, defensively, I don't like it when you have two skinny, slender guys like that. I feel like if you're gonna have one of these kind of power forward center hybrids, you also need a more traditional big body big. Just so the skinnier guy doesn't have to play center 30 minutes a game, right? That's what the Lakers do with Anthony Davis, and even the Bucks kind of do with Brook Lopez, right? It's good to have a bigger, heavier guy to take off some of the physical stress on your skinny guy, whatever. So I think Jalen Green makes a lot of sense here. He's a great scoring prospect. Could be a guy that averages 28 points per game in NBA. Moving on to number 3 though, it's the Cavaliers taking Evan Mobley. And I think this one actually makes more sense for the Cavs, at least, than the Rockets, where, they already have Jarrett Allen, right, who is that bigger center, traditional big that would take off a lot of the physical toll from, Evan Mobley's body. So while I do think Mobley would fit in well in both Houston and Cleveland, I think he makes more sense with the Cavs. Jalen Green also would fit in well with the Cavs too, but I just think that, for Mobley personally, Jarrett Allen is a great center to pair next to him. Defensively, that can seriously be a monster duo, considering how much versatility Evan Mobley gives you on defense. And offensively, he needs more polish, of course. He doesn't really have a go-to scoring move, stuff like that. He might only average 9 points per game his rookie season. But of course, there is upside there, and I think at the very least, Mobley gives you a really scary defensive front court duo with Jarrett Allen. Number 4 is going to be Jalen Suggs. This has been the consensus top 4 for a while now, though. There are rumors that the Raptors really like Scotty Barnes, and he might actually go 4. But for this mock draft, this person has Jalen Suggs here. I think it makes sense too. He is a point guard, but he's a very versatile player he's got size. I think he's 6'4". He's pretty smart. He can play both off ball and on ball. The shooting does need a bit of work, where he's a pretty good, standstill shooter, stuff like that. But he doesn't have that same chuckers mentality that will allow him to shoot 7 to 8 3-pointers per game, which I think is important for star point guards in the NBA today. He's a great athlete too, obviously winning player, played for Gonzaga, right? And I think out of everyone left, he's the best player left in terms of just where he is right now, right? Kuminga and Scotty Barnes, they're also very intriguing, stuff like that. But I think that Jalen Suggs is better right now than both of those guys. And with Kyle Lowry getting up there in age, this could be your next franchise point guard. Okay, number 5. Man, I feel good. We're zooming 30s. It's going to be Scotty Barnes, who's been shooting up draft boards lately. You're hearing a ton of teams are just really interested in him. Originally, he was top 10 maybe-ish, and now he's top 5, maybe even 4. So the Magic, they take Barnes here, right? Which means they're not taking Kuminga, who would be a very typical Magic pick. To be honest, I would love to see Barnes on a team where they already have an established scoring threat, right? Because I think he's going to struggle to score in the NBA, maybe for his entire career even, right? Because he doesn't have much of an outside game, and he's not physically dominant enough to just score 20 points a game just by existing and attacking the basket. He only averaged 11 points per game in college. But he does give you a ton of other skills like defense and playmaking and just overall being a smart basketball player, right? So I think he would do very well in a role player's role as a rookie. And for the Magic, they need stars, right? I think Barnes, his game would be elevated by having great teammates. And I don't think the Magic have enough talent to, really elevate Barnes at this stage. Next up is going to be James Bouknight, who's also been rising up draft boards. I think he was projected like top 20 just a few weeks ago. Now he's top 10, right? He's someone who in college was a very, skilled scorer in terms of just like having a bag, right? Going off the dribble, crafty finishes, but his shooting percentages weren't very great. But you did see him, make a ton of threes in like the combine. And he did shoot 80% from the line, which is usually a great indicator. So maybe he could be like a good shooter in the NBA as well. This is someone who can average like 20 points a game really easily in the NBA, I feel like. Not that he will, of course, I'm just saying in terms of like his skill set. He's a bucket getter. I actually like him a lot for OKC because I think on a really good team, because Bouknight, his passing, his overall just basketball IQ still needs a bit more improvement, right? So if he was drafted to like the Warriors or something, then he might struggle a little bit to, just keep up. But with the Thunder, they're kind of just like a, see what you got type of team right now. And I think Bouknight would excel with a longer leash. Next pick, Moses Moody. I did a whole video on this for the Warriors. On paper, great fit. He seems to match all their needs in terms of three-point shooting, defense, and overall smart basketball play. That's pretty much it. If you want to know more, just watch the other video because I spent like 5 minutes talking about him. Pretty high floor and maybe even a high ceiling too, depending on how much his ball handling and overall scoring arsenal improves. Number 8, and this one's funny because just like a minute earlier, I was talking about how Kuminga is the typical Magic pick, and here he is falling to the Magic at number 8, who someone originally projected to go top 5 is now falling to number 8 according to this mock draft. I can definitely see that, especially considering how much hype Scottie Barnes has been generating. Kuminga is without question a project player. How he is right now as a 19-year-old in the G League, that player is definitely not an NBA player, right? And to be honest, like, he might suck his first year in the NBA. He's got a lot of issues to work through, but holy mother of upside, this guy could be a top 5 player in the NBA if he really works on a skill set and maximizes all of his tools, right? He's huge, he's athletic, he's long, and he has really great scoring instincts. Kuminga, especially in the G League, right, pulled off a ton of just really sharp, decisive moves that you'd go, holy crap. There's only like 10 NBA players that can do that even right now. But he does need to work on his playmaking and his overall feel for the game, which is why I say he might suck his first year in the NBA because he really just needs time to catch up. However, given his physical tools and the instincts and moves he's pulled off in the G League, this is a very worthy gamble for the Magic, and I am kind of worried because Orlando has pulled this kind of, bullcrap before with Aaron Gordon, Jonathan Isaac, Mo Bamba. Isaac worked out okay. Mo Bamba has definitely not worked out. Aaron Gordon didn't work out either. He wasn't trash, but Gordon definitely did not, maximize his potential. So I'm very nervous with Orlando taking these type of players, but hey, we'll see. Next up, we have number 10, Sacramento Kings. They're taking Franz Wagner. I love this guy personally. I think he has a ton of just all-around skills that can really contribute in the NBA right away. He's a great defender, great playmaker, and shooting is definitely the biggest question mark, where he shot okay in college, 34% on like 4 threes a game, but you do question how much it's going to translate to the NBA and how much time it will take. His form does look very good, and he can shoot off the dribble and off the catch, right? So like I said, very versatile, but it just remains to be seen how much of that shooting actually translates. And if he actually does come in and he's, good right away, Sacramento is actually a very sneaky team to make the playoffs because they have De'Aaron Fox, right? Tyrese Haliburton, and if he continues to improve, you're going to have a very solid roster, especially with Harrison Barnes and if you bring back Rashawn Holmes. I love Wagner. I don't think he'll be a star and average like 20 points per game, but I do think there's an excellent chance he's going to come in and be like Joe Ingles, basically, and just be a very solid starter for like a decade. Moving on, we have the Pelicans, who actually, they're number 10. I think I said number 10 for the Kings. They were number 9 earlier. This one's number 10, right? Corey Kispert. He's a senior from Gonzaga, probably the best shooter in this draft. Last year, the Pelicans took a more higher upside, younger prospect, and geez, I'm having trouble remembering his name. Kira Lewis, I think. Lewis hasn't contributed much in his rookie year, and New Orleans right now, they're feeling the pressure. I'm not really sure how much the Zion rumors are true, But apparently, Zion's camp is putting a lot of pressure on New Orleans to really speed up, right? Because they haven't sniffed the playoffs each of the last 2 years. And getting a more ready to win right now player in Corey Kispert, who could come in and be like Cam Johnson, right? And basically make a ton of 3-pointers and not mess up. I think Corey Kispert is very NBA ready. Although if I was New Orleans, I'd rather just trade for an NBA veteran who I know for sure will contribute, because you never really know with these rookies, right? Like sometimes they're like Doug McDermott, who come in and they're just kind of okay and they're just not good. Or like Denzel Valentine, right? They're supposed to be, win right now, ready to win in the NBA, ready players, but they're just not that. So I would be kind of cautious. Okay, we're done with the top 10, and I'm just going to skim through the rest of this draft because I'm not doing 1 through 60, of course. I'll just be focusing on the teams and players who I think are interesting. Number 11, Kai Jones to the Hornets is very interesting. I think it's a very natural fit, of course. They need a center. It's their weakest position. Cody Zeller is cool, but you do want a younger guy, right? And Kai Jones could be that guy. Very smart player who, in terms of scoring, not much outside of just like, layups and dunks, but he has shown some flashes as a, downhill playmaker. So perhaps there's more to, look at. I feel like number 11 might be kind of a fall for him because I wouldn't be surprised if the Kings took him, right? Because if they lose Rashawn Holmes, they do need a center. So maybe Kai Jones is the move there. And I'm pretty sure he's the only center projected in the top 20 even. Oh wait, I just spaced out on Evan Mobley. Never mind. Ignore that. Josh Giddey to the Spurs is cool. They like international players. Davion Mitchell to Indiana. I think, great pick. This is someone who has top 10 talent. A lot of red flags, but also a lot to be excited about. The Warriors make a very boring pick with Chris Duarte, number 14. I feel like that's kind of high for Duarte. I feel like if the Warriors wanted that player, it should be Trey Murphy maybe instead, who has a bit more upside than Duarte, who's 24, 25 at least. I love Keon Johnson, by the way. As a college player, he was extremely fun to watch. Just watch his highlights. It's crazy. It's just awesome to see him just do a bunch of cool, explosive, hang in the air type of bull crap, which I don't know how much will translate to the NBA, but I hope it does because he's just so fun to watch. OKC with Alperen Sengun is very scary, especially if Pokusevski also develops, because if Sengun, he's basically kind of like a Nikola Jokic light prospect, where passer, scoring, defensively kind of slow, and if he really maximizes the skill set, he could be a star in the NBA. So, in OKC, that's a very fun idea to think about. I like Trey Murphy a lot, number 19 for the Knicks, who I think Murphy could go a lot earlier even. He's a good shooter, solid defender, smart player, right? I think he's the type of player the Knicks do need. Cameron Thompson, I feel like, is maybe falling a bit here. I honestly think that Thomas has 20 points per game potential in the NBA too, so I feel like falling to number 20 is a bit of a surprise for me at least. I feel like the Grizzlies might pick him up at number 17. Moving on to, okay, this one's cool. So they have Jared Butler going to the Lakers at number 22. And he could be what Lakers fans are kind of hoping Town Horton Tucker to be, which is this scoring wing who can come off the bench and average 16 points a game. Probably not his first season, but he's a very skilled and polished scorer, great shot maker, so that's a very interesting pick to me because good upside there for LA. Sharif Cooper, 25 to the Clippers. He could be their Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, right? The one that got away. So interesting move there too. I also feel like Jaden Springer has certainly dropped in this mock draft. I feel like he could go lottery even. I can honestly see the Spurs taking him as high as 12. Number 31, Quentin Grimes to the Bucks. That's a very awesome pick for Milwaukee because he's a great shooter. He might come in and be actually playing good minutes for Milwaukee right off the bat. Now, Charles Bassey, I don't know if it's Bassey or Bassey, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but number 38 for the Bulls. This is someone who was going to be a lottery pick if he declared 2 years ago, right? But he chose to come back 2 years in a row, and he was also a really highly touted high school prospect, so this could be a really big steal for the Bulls considering he was a top 10 talent, right? And he hasn't even played bad. He's gotten better. It's just NBA teams don't like older players, and he's a pretty well-rounded offensive player. Defensively, he's tough, physical, smart, so could be a sneaky steal here. I'm going to skip to number 50 now, Luka Garza, who was, one of the best college players in the entire nation the last 3 years. He could seriously have a role in the NBA as kind of a backup center who defensively won't do much for you, but if you put him against other backups, he could drop 20 points in a game because of how skilled he is and how big he is. Number 53, the Pelicans are taking another shooter. Matthew Hurt could help. Greg Brown, 54. This was like a, top 10 high school recruit. He's fallen in this draft a lot. To be honest, I don't really know any of these other guys, so I won't just bull crap and tell you stuff that I don't know anything about. But anyways, let me know who you think your biggest draft sleeper is. And that's the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you for the next one.